Hi, this is YouTube librarian Mike J. Devensky, and I'm here to do a review of the Pico G3. I just had it shipped from the Netherlands, and what I wanted to think about first was is the average age of librarians. I would prefer median. Median refers to how many the a 50-50 split between how many people are older versus younger than a specific age. But I'm pretty much being given the average age. Average refers to the sum total of all librarians, what their ages are, divided by the amount of librarians, which could be 170,000, and then we get to an age. Median is used still for income. So if you wanted to find out what the income of librarians are, you would be able to find the median income easily. But what we're being given is the average age of librarians. And I say this because it was just my birthday on July 11th, and I launched YouTube Librarian in July 2023. I turned 47 years old, and I get to call myself a librarian according to the American Library Association because a librarian is defined as someone who graduated from an American Library Association accredited graduate program. To the extent that that is the definition, I get to call myself a librarian. I'm doing YouTube librarian programming, which means that I'm recording this and uploading this to YouTube primarily, and thereby calling myself YouTube librarian. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start with the average age of librarians according to Google. And we could start with that, although I would prefer to work with the American Library Association on this. The average age of male librarians in the workforce is 44.8, and female librarians is 48.1. According to Zippia.com, the average librarian age is 47. According to datausa.io, Librarians Data USA, it's 47.5 with 175,000 librarians. According to the American Library Association, they do in fact bring up the median age of all librarians in 2013. It was 50.5. As many older than 50.5 as there are younger than 50.5. And that's a slightly different way of thinking about things than the average age. So what that proves is that there's a correlation between my work as YouTube librarian and the average and median age of librarians in the United States. And it took quite a few years to bear fruit. I graduated and completed coursework in 2007, believe it or not. And it could be said that it took 16 years to bear fruit, my graduate program, because I didn't actually do any work naturally for many years. And so I did also start in Chicago by bringing children's books to the Park District with a street performer license. And so to some extent, I have been doing stuff in the community. Also in 2023, I got permission to do young adult programming at the Uptown branch of the Chicago Public Library, which you can see a trace of on my Twitter account. So it's not altogether true that it bear fruit at the age of 47. I have been doing some work in the community as a librarian. As I said, I made it to the Chicago Park District, to the playgrounds with the children's materials. I made it to the library, also with the video game council. And so about the same age as other librarians. So let's take a look at the Pico G3. The first thing you'll notice is that it looks very similar to the MetaQuest 2, except there's a slight nasal curve to the bottom. It's very white. In that sense, it is corresponding to the whiteness of my apartment. And you'll also perhaps notice that there are no lenses on the front of the headset, thereby raising a huge question: how does the internet triangulate your specific location when doing certain programming? And so that's a big question. Instead, we have some buttons. Over here we have backout buttons. So this will back me out of the text I was working with, out of the mirror darkness, over and over again. And let's see, in terms of the Pico G3, what I was looking for as a customer was something for my two businesses, Bulletproof VR. Bulletproof VR can be found using the Maps feature of Microsoft's Bing, for example. I hired a search engine optimization firm to place Bulletproof VR in the internet, in a similar way as it would have been to have a yellow page or white page advertisement in the past. I would have simply given myself a name. I would have paid for a business account with AT&T, and then AT&T would have published me in their directory. As such, I would have established my identity. Now, so let's say I go over to Bing. So what the point of Bulletproof VR is simply to help the consumer make a better decision. So by introducing you to different VR headsets. My other business, which I decided to establish for this particular headset, is JobOps VR. The point of that business is to get you to the browser so you can do your job search quicker. And JobOps VR I promote using lawn signs like a politician here in Chicago. So both have a slight presence. Like if I go to Bing.com, I don't know if we'll get results. I don't know if they use that. We can find Bulletproof VR. And Bulletproof VR ended up successful right away because there is a VR app called Guns and Stories, subtitled Bulletproof VR. And so there's a huge presence for Bulletproof VR. And here is my business, and it's for some reason closed. It does in fact show up in the results. That's my address and phone number, Chamber of Commerce. And that's because I hired a SEO, a search engine optimization firm, and they got me listed. There's the Chicago River. That's my apartment. And so when you press on call, it would lead you to the phone number. So that's Bulletproof VR. The purpose of Bulletproof VR is, are you VR compatible? Is this bullshit? Does it actually work? Is it worth $300, $400, $500, $600, $1,000? That's the question. That's the problem. And the way I do that is by giving you access to multiple headsets from different manufacturers so that you can test them out. The other business is JobOps VR. So for example, if you go to the user center, you'll see that my name is listed here, first and last, my email address, and there's my organization, JobOps VR. It's literally, I was able to establish that using the picoxr.com website, and it's in the VR virtual environment. Then you have notifications. If ByteDance wanted to speak to me, and I spoke to a representative of ByteDance, ByteDance brings us the popular social media app TikTok, and they bought Pico, and they've owned it for a couple of years now. And I spoke with someone who said he wishes that I bought this from a US retailer instead of from the Netherlands. He also was wondering how I establish a business identity. Okay, so when you look at the Pico, so it will, first and foremost, it will get the job done for my two current business concepts. One is to help you make a consumer decision. The other is to get you to better results when doing a job search. So if you look, we have the same menu, in a sense, a similar menu design as the Pico 4, which is the consumer model for gamers, basically. And there's a home key. The home key is taking me to the virtual environment, which is quite lovely. It's also bringing me to what I call like the professional front. And in this professional front, you have right away, they say, welcome to Pico VR. You can open File Manager to browse local files or files online. In fact, I did take advantage of that by solving a major problem with virtual reality porn, which is how to eliminate some of the borderline age cases of the models, to the extent in which she even slightly looks like she could be a minor. You can download the more mature looking models and thereby not get into ethical trouble or even legal trouble, because as a responsible consumer, you made the decision as a consumer to eliminate borderline cases that could raise a flag. And so that works through the file manager. So if I go to the file manager, which it says open file manager to browse local files or files online, you can see I downloaded substantially sized 4 to 8K porn content. 3.68 gigabytes, 5.28 gigabytes, 5.73 gigabytes, 3.3 gigabytes, 4.69 gigabytes, 3.98 gigabytes, 4.6 gigabytes, 5.57 gigabytes, 5.11 gigabytes, 4.38 gigabytes, 4.47 gigabytes, 4.16 gigabytes, 4.53 gigabytes, 4.9 gigabytes, 5.64 gigabytes. And so those are already in my video section in my file manager. And the file manager is kind of like a Windows file looking a title card in what I would call the business suite, but I shouldn't. It's the home section. And the home section has a couple of options. There's the business suite, which is frankly, from a consumer perspective, very disappointing. But it does begin to demarcate something that if you have the chance to upload content from a computer, you would be able to develop. But the Pico G3 unfortunately did not come with good quality content for the 3 sections. So in a sense, it's available. There are instructions for how to upload content, and it was even an installation fee that the manufacturer would have charged to, for example, I spoke to Helium recently. I got in contact with them as a content provider. They already like Pico because they can have Helium installed or uploaded to the headset and thereby have the Helium experience for their customers or corporate clients or their consumer-based customers. So if you go to the business suite there's really nothing here except I do like Engage. It's a kind of conference site, but I have access to Engage on other sites like on other VR headsets. So it's for sure that I'll go to it and visit, but it's not for sure that Pico G. It's not for sure whether that is good enough for the current price point to not have much development in the business section. In fact, I was told by the seller that this is supposed to be considered a really good 360 movie theater experience. The HTC Vive Flow was once called a video device, not a virtual reality device, useful for watching YouTube and Vimeo videos. And so we're being told this is for, and that makes it possible to do something quite interesting. For example, I just sensitively clicked on a button that I wasn't supposed to. If you go to the Pico browser, and the point of this is that this is a 360-degree movie theater or audio-visual experience. You can go to apartments.com, and we could even walk through a model of this apartment. So we go to apartments.com, and we search in Chicago. And let's say we want a virtual tour. So that's, what apartment is that? Oh, like here's Presidential Towers. I used to give massages at a tanning salon. And let's see what happens if we get the virtual tour, because it's actually super impressive when this effect happens. But it might be a Meta Quest experience. Here we are. We just went to apartments.com. I'm actually, and I find this experience super exciting. I'm walking around an apartment at Chicago's Presidential Towers. I was very close to Presidential Towers the other day, a couple of months ago, when I had a membership with WeWork. WeWork has a couple of locations there by the Metro train station, and Presidential Towers is just down the street from there, from the two WeWork facilities. And so we're walking around in VR an apartment at Chicago's Presidential Towers. I'm walking into the bathroom. I'm looking at it. It is, a small size bathroom. There is the idea that there is, in fact, a VR camera that makes this possible, but I haven't seen it on the market yet. And there would probably be some disappointment in the Pico G3 from the point of view of there not being capable of doing VR recordings. It also would be very disappointing, the content that they provided from a business point of view. I was anticipating some problems, the main problem being, how do I get commercial license approval for the content, but not having virtually any content except Engage, the virtual reality conference was this place. So this is apartments.com. As you can see, it's a small apartment. There's a nice view of the city, and I was actually in this neighborhood not too long ago. There's a breakfast bar, there's a couple. Everything is furnished nicely, not difficult to achieve an Airbnb look in Chicago. So that's one thing you can do with the Pico G3 that you can do with the other suggestion that I got recently is, heck, why not head over to YouTube VR. So what I'm doing right now is I've headed over to the browser, and the main experience I decided is right here with the browser. Remember, from a business point of view, I'm already set for my two VR businesses. But you can see, like here is, first thing you're being told to do is, why not head over to the Pico website, business.picoxr.com/US. And I can log in if I still remember my username and password. So there's the Pico G3. And then I would have to remember this. I might actually have forgotten my username and password, believe it or not. So let's see how long it takes for me to tinker around with this. But that's what, and I'm really grateful for this, because the store that I purchased this from would have rushed this a little bit too much, and we wouldn't have gotten, although there was a follow-up conference call opportunity. So I'm hoping that this is my login information. So there it is. I logged in to my business account. There's my contact information. I'm officially a Pico G3 customer, and doing this on business.picoxr.com, or made it possible to see my contact information, not my name and business name, in the virtual environment. So we have the home, which goes to the front. We have File Manager. And notice File Manager is right next to the home. You have Settings, and then you have Pico Browser, and then you have the Library. And while Library and Home overlap to some extent, you do get to see what they provided. And I do have a slight hope in Auria Fit, because even though it is intended for senior citizens, I have a really cute mini bike solution that I could use with Fit, but I would have to get a hold of the manufacturer as well for that. So this is going to take some work to develop. It's not acceptable, what they have to provide to their customers. But so you have inside of the library, you do have something important. You have a system update key. You have the Pico browser. You have the settings, and you have that here too on the main menu, Pico browser. And so, to some extent, what that means is that you really should master File Manager, Settings, Pico browser. So yes, it gets the job done for my two business ideas, but no, that's not good enough. I'm not sure what they're saying with this, whether they don't want to move in that direction. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a man versus technology issue and they were sabotaged by humanity, because humanity doesn't want to lose jobs to virtual reality. There's also an interesting click here. Screencast is very important. You can cast to smart TV, and you can cast to a browser. I have, in fact, I could provide this web address, http://192.168.0.76.342/cast, to my family member, and they would be able to see me on, Pico G3, what I'm doing. So that's kind of useful if you want to show off to someone what you're actually doing. This is real. This is what I'm looking at right now. There's a way to prove that onto a smart TV like Google TV, or onto a smartphone browser. So that's a nice feature. Virtual environments are very, very important. I'm almost sure the goal is to be able to put on some music and chill, hang out in a virtual environment. It's like the goal, the end goal. And to some extent, this device might be good. I might be able to head over, again, let's head over to YouTube. YouTube is very important uh, because they have a very nice VR collection. So let's head over again to, so there's YouTube. And let's say I was interested in VR. It's not like coming up right away. They might have a different section for it. Like I may have to do something like virtual reality. I'm going to get this wrong, by the way. Let's see what happens. Basically, what I'm trying to find out is now, are you supposed to do this yourself? Yeah, you're supposed to. So what I did is I went to vr.youtube.com, and there are here are the different options for VR, and I actually got rid of my cardboard. I think it was useful for one time. Like, why did you get rid of it? I didn't like the quality. You know, I think it wasn't. I have had what do you call a VR phone experience, which was quite impressive with a Microsoft Alcatel back in 2017, right around the time when virtual reality entered into the consumer market. I purchased a Microsoft Alcatel phone for $200, and it came with a VR headset. You were able to attach it to the headset, and it had all kinds of different ideas that it was expressing that I don't even remember. So if you go to vr.youtube.com, you can get right to the VR section, and it's quite substantial. Yes, there used to be something called, which is still sometimes promoted, but is being phased out, called PCVR. PCVR is when the virtual reality headset is connected directly to a computer. That's somewhat reassuring that the virtual reality experience is being handled by a top-notch computer. On the other hand, the cable ended up being a problem for some people. This is what's called an AIO headset. It's an all-in-one. There is no computer that is connected to. So we headed over to vr.youtube.com and we went to the YouTube virtual reality section, which has a lot of good content on it. I could turn on something just to see how good it is. So we have a music collection. Let's see what happens when I turn it on. We're testing it out. Now I'm actually testing it out for the first time. I haven't done this yet. I might get to it. That's a 2D image. You press on the little box. Let's see what happens. I don't think I made it yet. That kind of didn't work. I haven't figured it out yet. That's VR 180. I have to figure this out. It says VR 180. I'm working with it. There's a download function. Okay, we're going to switch over to 180. Might not be the full experience. You know what you're doing? I'm working on it. So I actually haven't gotten to it yet. So we'll have to tinker around with it to see which button you have to press to get. It's supposed to be 4K. This I did buy it, by the way, for 4K capability. So I guess for now we're gonna have to probably get satisfied with being told that if we press on 2160, we can get to 4K. So let's take a look at what it looks like, because it didn't turn on to VR right away by itself on YouTube United. So we're kind of looking at it from a 4K point of view, which was the marketing hook, one of the marketing strategies for this device. Switch over to full screen. I don't see it. Okay, so we'll tinker around with this a little bit later. I did figure out how to switch to 4K quality. And what I like to do is actually, I like to take it a little bit even further, because this is, what it's allowing me to do is look at the image. Like, look around it. So it's not exactly what I was anticipating, but so it looks like what you can do is you can press the trigger and you could move the image around and look at these guys singing a standard rock song. It's a band called Empire Hit and Run, kind of on the country side of the spectrum. So that's YouTube VR. I was able to specify that I want 4K quality, image quality. I was able to kind of move it around in an unusual way. So you see we have the business suite with a very, very good professional front. Yeah. And it may be possible to either have content installed by the sales staff. So for example, when I got it in a box like this, and they, for $75, are willing to install content onto the device into the business suite. Yeah, and then this is the actual box that it came in. Very professional. And then I bought an extra Pico 4 left controller. That might be a problem, and it could cost £200 to have it delivered. Just this alone could cost like $200 with this company. So I bought the headset as well. And I don't know if that was a successful scam, by the way. I was looking for a business solution. I did end up getting a VR porn solution. And so as you can see, then you have Open File Manager. You go to Quick Settings to take a screenshot or record the screen. And that's over here. It's the Quick Settings are this kind of rectangular box with the time, 6:48. There's the Bluetooth and battery indicator. It could be actually not Bluetooth, but internet. They're calling it WLAN. So it's acknowledging my 5.0 GHz Wi-Fi connection. And then there are some important options here. Screencast, screen recording, screenshot. I find it to be very satisfying to look back at my own VR experience either by a recording or by a screenshot. I'm not sure if it's as valuable or useful to you as a consumer though, but it is very satisfying to me. For example, I went on a boat ride on HTC Vive Flow. I look back at it and it's relaxing. And then number 3, I don't know what they're talking about. They're saying use Business Suite to manage different devices. I don't think that exists yet. They might have failed on that point as well. They might have removed it. I see an opportunity to some buttons that I could back out of different apps or whatever, but I don't see that particular selling point yet. So that could be a little bit of a problem. Yes, you can open File Manager to browse local files or files online. Yes, you can go to Quick Settings to take a screenshot or record the screen. No, I'm not sure if you can use the Business Suite to manage